Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video was brought to you by a donation from Thomas. He didn't give me a topic with his donation, so I wanted to discuss how life is getting worse and more difficult for men financially and what we can do about it. Love him or hate him, Andrew Tate put out a video a while back asking his audience which they would prefer, $1 million house or $1 million worth of Bitcoin. I can now sell my BTC and buy a house right away if I wanted, because I don't trust the government not to raise taxes like they did in Toronto last year, by 9.5%. Our female Marxist mayor isn't sure how much they'll actually need to bring up taxes this year. How about another 10% like last year? Why not? But I don't want to make this video about Bitcoin. I want to discuss rising wealth inequality and what you can do about it. Yes, they're really going after the whole you will own nothing and be happy plan. BlackRock and Blackstone are buying up millions of houses and renting them out. 25% of houses in Atlanta are now owned by hedge fund investors. Now that they own them, they reduce how much they maintain their properties while simultaneously upping the rents. Eventually, they'll own 60 to 70% of the homes on a street, and then places will get run down, and people that still own their own homes on those streets will also sell and get the hell out of there. Housing is becoming prohibitively expensive in the West compared to incomes. Salaries aren't keeping up with inflation, and even if you managed to find an imaginary unicorn woman to marry, you wouldn't be able to afford to start a family with her. The situation is really, really bad. If I was in my early 20s right now, what would I do if I was in your position? I'd live with my parents and wouldn't care about the shame in it. Or live in a van in your parents' driveway or parked outside your local Walmart, or even down by the river. That's not because I couldn't afford a crummy one-bedroom apartment or place with roommates, but because I'd be saving every last dollar and investing it trying to get ahead. Another option for younger guys is to work remotely for a Western company in a third or fourth world country, where life costs you 10 to 20% of what it would cost you in the West, and then you bank 80 to 90% of your net income. You gotta cheat to get your life on easy street. You have to use any and all means at your disposal to get your hands on financial assets like stocks, real estate, Bitcoin, etc. Your health is still going to be good for a few decades at least when you're in your 20s. So push yourself to earn more. If I wanted a family and I was in my 20s today, I'd live abroad and use surrogacy to have children as a single father in my late 30s or early 40s. Also, as things get increasingly unaffordable, the situation will keep on getting worse. It's a moving target that seems to be accelerating. Hedge funds, once they finish buying the first world real estate, might set their sights on Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, or even Japan. It's like they want to get rid of any route of escape. And what good is it being one of the few people owning a house on a street owned by mostly hedge funds? Your neighborhood will be a dump while you sit in your $2 or $3 million home that you can't even enjoy, while you're surrounded by poverty. We aren't playing life on difficult mode anymore, like we were before COVID. We're now playing it on ludicrous mode. I said before that going your own way back in the mid-2010s was living your life on easy mode, from difficult mode once you stopped dating and marrying women. Most of us could stack cash easily and buy assets and actually get ahead if we were single. You really don't think that two-thirds of guys in their 20s and 30s being single wasn't going to be seen as a threat by the system, now did you? The system sees those guys being single, buying assets, and trying to free themselves from the rat race at an accelerated pace. The money printed by governments and handed to corporations neutralized most of that MGTOW money, with asset prices doubling in only a few years during COVID. If we really think we can stay single, work, and save and escape our slavery doing so, then we're stupid. But the Cantillon effect is going to cook us. That simply means that those closest to the money printing machines can get most of the value from cash because they're the ones that spend it into the economy first. This makes the wealth inequality grow exponentially. Countries in the West are trying to flood themselves with as many migrants as possible, because wealth inequality won't lead to revolution if more than half the people in Canada are Indians or South Asians in only 10 years, because they're already used to extreme wealth inequality in their own countries. Part of the so-called demographic replacement in Western countries should be looked upon as bringing in populations that won't complain about poverty, the way those of European background will. We aren't seeing the same migration in Eastern Europe and the Balkans as much because the wealth inequality is already there, and people have accepted it a long time ago. People I knew over there were struggling to raise their families on decent salaries, and all they could afford were one-bedroom apartments. For them, that's very close to the type of lifestyle they grew up under. But in the West, the cost of living and dating crisis for many young guys is causing depression. And depression lowers your testosterone, which in turn lowers men's motivation levels to fight the current wealth inequality. I know that for most of you, the situation seems hopeless financially and spiritually, but you gotta try and stay positive. Don't just bend over and take it like Arthur in Joker Part 2. The only solace I'm getting from all my realizations is that life is also getting increasingly difficult for women. Mostly those TikTok videos where women are breaking down due to the cost of living and complaining about how difficult it is to survive. We're also being gaslit thanks to the CPI or CPI versus acid inflation due to inflation in the money supply. Who cares if broccoli is only going up 3% a year in price when housing is becoming unaffordable and rising 10% a year or more? You can't live inside a vegetable. My greatest fear is that even if we as individuals figure out a way out of the World Economic Forum issues and we move abroad to a place they can't follow, they will still wreck the internet. I'm sure I'm not the only one noticing that the search engines suck these days and are full of spam. The daily products we buy are declining in quality and rising in price. Recently I bought some new jeans and the old 504 Levi's I wanted something similar to. But now they don't make that version or anything like it. I feel like the products I'm buying are cheap knockoffs of the products I once bought. Over the summer I went to Canada's Wonderland and rode some new roller coasters and some older ones. The older ones had a much smoother ride, while the new ones shook me around and gave me a headache. On top of that, YouTube has now become nothing more than talking head channels copying each other's content, and even style of delivery. The cultural decline isn't very entertaining. If you want to know where the innovation always is, it's in the counterculture. The thing that people always end up hating is the place where all the interesting people are. The manosphere used to be that counterculture, and now it's more mainstream. I'm having a hard time finding anything interesting to watch or listen to unless it's niche, but the search engines won't let me find it very easily. Us men aren't even allowed to have our escapism anymore. You can see that when they wreck Joker Part 2. But there was Twisters in Deadpool with Wolverine. Growing up, the film Twisters would have been very similar to Dante's Peak in 1997. That was ranked as 20th in that year at the box office, while Twisters was ranked 5th this year. Both are just as forgettable. And don't even get me started on gaming. I don't even play video games, but from the ugly female video game characters, I can't imagine how bad it's getting. Our financial lives are being wrecked as men, so is our escapism, and now we're depressed with our testosterone levels crashing. While women are mean-spirited and have higher expectations than ever. Our countries are being overrun by invaders, welcomed in by our governments. Our money is being devalued, and it seems like it's too fast for many of us to adapt. The few men that do point that out, like Andrew Tate, are being silenced on social media and thrown in jail. I don't know about you, but that's too many things to go wrong like that, all at the same time as a coincidence. The only thing they haven't figured out how to take away from us yet is our past or nostalgia. They're trying that by ruining old franchises, though. Even things like Minecraft, which isn't even that old, are now not immune to the wokeism anymore. They don't even want us to escape into the past. They can ruin past collective memories, but they can't destroy your individual ones. I've been hiding more and more inside of those recently. It's an addictive coping strategy, but it does work. You might have also noticed recently that I'm not running as many advertisers and sponsors on my channel. I can't be bothered anymore. I guess that's me giving up, and I'm also curious to see if eliminating ads will increase my watch time enough to boost views on my videos. Plus, I'm sure everyone will appreciate less ads. My lack of motivation comes down to another health crisis. I think I may actually have a urinary tract infection. I took 4 days worth of antibiotics in the summer and my symptoms went away for a couple of months. And then they came back recently before I got my YouTube strikes. It's weird how the symptoms seem to bounce around from one place to another. I'll keep you guys posted about that unless I get sepsis and die from blood poisoning or something. I'm probably overreacting, but I get some kind of health crisis every year or two that usually requires surgery to correct. I'll keep you posted. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks again to Thomas for the donation, and I hope you enjoyed the topic. Don't forget to smash the like button the way that men's past, present, and future are being systematically smashed to demoralize us. Bang the bell and check out the mystery link. Follow me on BitChute, Twitter, and Facebook to get tomorrow's video today. Subscribe to me on Minds, Odyssey, MGTOW.TV, and Rumble to get the video for the day after tomorrow. This channel's been demonetized. And if you want to help me keep making content, then please support me through Subscribestar. There's a link to it in the description. Or you can do an hour-long coaching chat with the Sandman for $45 US. And I won't rush out the door like a cheap whore. Thanks for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember, a red pill a day keeps men from losing all hope, even though it's looking pretty hopeless away. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.